Back at the Great Studios, Love 97. My special guest is in studio, the leader of the BDM, the Bahamas Democratic Movement. He's no, listen, he's no, uh, um, he's no newbie to politics. He been through the trenches from the days of Sir Lyndon. And I always, listen, Mr. Stuart, I can tell you the way to lie. I just don't understand how is it that politicians like former Prime Minister Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, former Prime Minister Right Honorable Perry Godson Christie, this present Prime Minister don't see it. That you just is a natural builder. I mean, you speak sense. Why have you ever been offered a senator post?
The last time I checked, I wasn't qualified for a senator post.
No?
Yeah.
From no government? Not even from Mr. Lyndon?
No, that was under the F&M government. I wasn't qualified to be a senator.
What about the PLB?
We never really discussed.
They never asked you. They didn't even consider asking you. PLB didn't even consider.
No, we never had that.
But listen, honestly, and you say you might just think I saying it because I on air. Listen to me. You, Dr. Andrew Rollins, Randall McCartney, Renwood Wells, Craig Moss, maybe about 2 or 3 more persons, right? Who speak fluent, who understand the system, who have great ideas. Cornelius McKinney, and it's just some people who just stands out from the norm. Trust me.
Thank you.
And I don't understand how is it. I mean, if you really want this country to do good, you would pick the best set of people. Yeah. I mean, this country in the last, say, 25 years, from 1992 to 2017, the country hasn't been run by talent.
Yes.
The country hasn't been run by knowledge. The country, in my personal view, hasn't been run by your ability. It's being run by political affiliation, family, friends, and lovers, and who know who, and stuff like that. Because, in a way, a great country like Bahamas has failed in the last 25 years, from 1990 to 2017, in a manner where one party run the country and we still fail. So you might say, well, because the people keep on changing the government, PLP, BDM, PLP, then you would say that's what made it cost it. Yeah. But they had a run from 1992 after Sir Lyndon gone. Well, I mean, come to Lyndon because they did well. Sir Lyndon and those men, Loftus Roker and Otto D. Hanna and Clemmy Maynard, they did well, in my view. Right? Places might have their view, but in my view, I think they did well. But when you go from 1992 to 2017, when the 2 former law partners was running the country, hand it to me, it's your time, hand it to you, it's your time, come back to me like that. When they had the country for 25 years, the PLB, same ideas stick with the country. They never change anything. You would think that they had 25 years to really do well. And you check the country. I mean, they max out, they leverage the financial sector. I mean, the government right now have to borrow money to survive at a time when this is the time when it's supposed to be using the surpluses and benefits and stuff. I mean, why they don't use persons like you and Dr. Henry Rollins and Greg Morrison? Why they don't try Ghana, you to even if they say train you? I mean, why they hasn't done that? I mean, what is the problem?
I have no idea why. I don't know how to answer that question, but I can tell you what I'm doing. It is my job to seek out the best minds so that we can put them forward in the next election as candidates. And so I'm not sure why they didn't seek out the best leaders and to be able to put them on their slate. But that is my job as a leader, to make sure that I can find the best minds around me so that when I present the next government to you, we know that we have qualified, educated people who could handle the job. You see, it's one thing being elected, and it's easy to be elected. It's easy to win a seat. The hard thing is to run the government. And so we need qualified people to be able to sit in the Ministry of Finance, to be able to balance our affairs, to understand how do we jumpstart our agriculture system, how do we revamp our educational system, which we'll talk about in a little while. But we need qualified, educated people who understand the processes to get these things done. The problem is we've been just, oh, use my boy, I can put you here, or use my friend, I can put you here. And what we're not doing, we're not seeking out the best minds. I told somebody today that I'm not going to be. I was talking to somebody. I said, "Listen, I'm not going to give you no lie or no bed of roses. The Bahamas is in a bad state. We need the best minds to pull us out of this mess we're in. And so I don't want people to think that the next government will have a easy slate. The next government is going to be the most difficult task the Bahamas has ever seen. Because right now, our national debt is reaching our gross domestic product. Our GDP is 12 billion. Our debt is almost 12 billion. And so we all know in accounts, we talk about solvency and insolvency. Insolvency is when your liabilities are so high that your assets, even if you sell them off, you can't pay off your liability. So they call that bankruptcy. The Bahamas is right there. And so we are almost insolvent as a nation because our national debt is almost surpassing our gross domestic product. So how do we build a nation, and how do we tell the next leaders that, listen, it's going to be a nice, easy road? It's not going to be a nice, easy road, because we have to now look at the fact that the reserves, which stands at $2 billion, is going to be drawn down some 400 million to, it's going to be about $1.6 billion now. So our stability of our currency is pegged to our foreign reserves. And they're going to draw down on that because we have a $900 billion recurring deficit. And so because of that, our country is really in a bad state. And in order for us to get out of that, we need the best minds to make that happen. We don't need people who are just passionate, who can talk it. We need people who understand strategies, people who understand who can make these industries work in agriculture, in sports, and healthcare. Right now, we spend about $300 million every year on subsidies. Bahamas Air, water and sewage, but ZNS, and so
why are we still subsidizing
after 48 years, ZNS has not turned a profit yet. We still got to babysit ZNS after 48 years.
And they're competing, and it's just unbelievable, you know. ZNS is competing against Love 97, right? Love 97 got to go into the market and compete for ads with against a national broadcasting station, right? And Love 97 is still flourishing, right?
So
Love 97 is still open.
But not just
right?
Love 97, you have countless other radio stations and television stations that sprung up
that are
surviving. But the national radio station, we still have to subsidize them. Why? Leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So it's the people we put in ZNS to manage it. If they cannot turn that corporation into a profitable corporation, they're doing a bad job.
You're right.
And so, but then across the board, just look at Bahamas Air. You know, we've been spoon feeding ZNS, Bahamas Air now for years.
And you know, when you mentioned Bahamas Air, right? I get leave a couple of times with Bahamas Air because the plane overbooked, sometimes it over full, sometimes you can't get on because the plane full. If you and play with just like ride Bahamas Air have the best safety record. When it comes to their record, it's par none. Bahamas Air, right? Not only that, when you spend with Bahamas Air, you spending with yourself because you finance Bahamas Air,
yes,
right? And you would say, how is it that the plane full and you still losing money? Is it overstaffing? Then give people some package. Make up your mind to spend a lump sum, right? Give some people some pocket, let some people move on. Do you need to downsize? And listen, break down some of those providing sections that private companies and offer them some of the staff. We have to make decisions in this country that is not ordinarily normal.
See, we need business-minded people who can understand how do we turn these companies into failed companies into profit-generating organizations. That $300 million into subsidies, we have to stop that. That's $300 million we're not going to be wasting anymore because now these ZNS, Bahamas Air, water and sewage is now turning a profit and money's coming into the kitty to be able to go towards other expenses. But right now we've been pumping and pumping and pumping for the last 48 years. And so that is a sign that we failed. We have a water and sewage corporation, right? And we've had a water and sewage corporation long as I know myself. But why do we have to invite a foreign company to create a reverse osmosis plant to provide water for Eleuthera and these other islands? I don't understand that.
I think, listen to me.
But I don't understand that. I mean, why are we spending millions of dollars a month to pay a foreign company to provide water, but we have a water company. Well, we don't have the sense to buy our own reverse osmosis plant to be able to pull water from our ocean, to be able to reprocess it and pump it into the sediments.
It baffles you, man. Let me tell you why I say that. My mom used to work on the water tanker some years ago in the 80s. My mom, she was a chef on one of the water tankers in the 80s, right? We was barging water from Andres, right? We stopped. We was leasing foreign barges, right? Who companies were hired to bring water in Nassau. We did that. We moved from that of foreign barges to a foreign company from the Cayman Islands, consolidated water, making water, producing water to sell the water company.
Yeah.
Which really don't make no sense, right? Listen, how is it that if the Bahamian people, because I think it's a policy or it's a law, I'm not sure, that every property must pay a meter rental of, I think it's about, 10 something a month or something like that, or $5 or something, every property, right? So that means the water and sewage company has a guaranteed level amount of, not every month, every quarter, a guaranteed level amount of money to come in. Even if you don't use no water, you're charged for the meter.
Yeah.
Right? How is it? Is it because politicians for the last 25 years, from 1992 to 2017, overstaff these corporations as a result of political patronage or expediency to win the election?
Listen, think about it. The U.S. organizations and these international organizations telling us that we're wasting money and so on, and we got to get our house in order. But these are the same companies now, because that's a U.S.-based company that has that contract, that are benefiting in the terms of millions of dollars from a water and sewage, from a water company that we could do it ourselves. And so you on one hand telling us we got to get our house in order, and the next time you getting the money from our wastage.
You benefit from our situation that we're in.
We need a government that really looks at things practical. We cannot sustain the level of wastage over the next 5 years. The country's going to collapse. Nobody wants to talk about it, but the country will collapse if we continue on this path.
That's it.
Right?
You're right.
And so we have to say these things are what we're going to stop. That wastage, we got to stop. If we got to invest $50 million in the reverse osmosis plant and have the existing staff at Water and Sewage trained to operate it, then let's do that. Why spend millions of dollars of some foreign company to come in and do it the stuff that we can do ourselves?
I understand, in the age of the day, in the 21st century, where, everything is put on the internet. I talking about, you want to reach an engineer who specializes in flavoring water. You want to reach an engineer who specializes in digging oil or digging water. You could find whatever you could. Why are we still hiring foreign companies, right? Because when some of these companies go there, no, you can't understand none of what these people are saying, right? Because they're not Bahamian, right? It makes you believe. It makes you.
But you see, this is why we got to train Bahamians. You see, when you look at all the leakages in our system, right? Every year we spend $70 million on rent. The government, $70 million on rent allowances. So after 48 years, you don't mean to tell me that we could have built. So if you're saying 70 million, you don't mean we couldn't build buildings for the government to occupy? Or is it that important to make sure that your cronies and your friends get money at the expense of the whole country collapsing?
Listen, now you say it. That's a key statement you make right there.
And this is what makes me unpopular. This is what makes me unpopular because, and this is what makes you unpopular because when you look at, let me explain something to you. The part is never greater than the whole. So one man's success is never greater than the success of the Bahamas. And I want all them who are listening to me hear that. I cannot empower you at the expense of the country failing. And that's what we've been doing. We've been empowering our cronies at the expense of the country. Because who carries the burden? When we're spending $70 million a year on rent, who carries the burden? Us, the taxpayers. And that's money leaking out. When we know we could have built a building, $1 million, to put these government departments in, and we don't have no more rent.
Yeah, but when I asked that question some years ago, right, in 2015, I had a show in Love 97 2016, 1987, I think it was on East Hill. And I asked that question, right? Because the government at the time had signed a contract where the building was being it was an old building that they re-engineered and make it a nice building.
Mm-hmm.
The government then signed a contract where they assisted the landlord of the building with some $685,000
Mm-hmm.
to assist in getting the building up to the part that they wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Keyword, $685,000. When the building was finished, the government at the time then turned around and leased the building for 10 years guarantee at $750,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, when you calculate, it's a guarantee that the landlord made some $7.5 million over 10 years.
Yep.
You know what I said just now?
Mm-hmm.
A small building
That should be
that only have,
that actually be criminal, because you see, you cannot put your country at risk to empower your cronies, and of course, it's always kickback. It always loop back to the one who signs the deal.
No, I wouldn't say that.
You know,
I wouldn't say that. I would have the proof for that, but I wouldn't say that.
I
I'd say this.
ain't saying somebody do it, but most often times,
It gives you the impression
yeah,
that's it comes
And
back.
so-
But I
and
can tell
so-
you this. Listen to this next one. The government, the previous administration, signed a contract where they paid rent for a building for 25 years ahead. I mean, who's do that?
that's criminal.
What?
See, these are the things that we need to make criminal, because while we understand, you may be helping out your boy and all that, you cannot put the country at risk, at economic risk. Right now, we have no money in this country. There's no money in the National Insurance Fund. There's no money. The government we have a $900 million recurring deficit. You know what that means? 900 million. After we then bring in everything we bring in, we still need $900 million.
Still short.
You're still short.
Yeah.
And now most of that is leakages through all of the foolishness we've been doing. And so we got to have fiscal austerity measures, fiscal austerity measures in place.
Yes,
And we got to make certain things criminal moving forward. The New Bahamas cannot tolerate that type of behavior. And I understand there are people who've been benefiting for so long, but it has to come to an end, because if the country collapses, sir, everything you have, all your money will collapse with it.
See, some people just take this thing as a joke and they say, oh, all companies, no, it don't work like that. Let me tell you this. I'll give you one. It's about 27 of them I have. I'll give you the next one. A PLB family been renting their building for the last 40 odd years to the Bahamian people. Every year, apart the contract, every year the square footage increase $2 a square foot extra every year. When the building was condemned by the Ministry of Works, they then turned around and forced the Bahamian people to pay millions of dollars for the condemned building after they done rent the building for over 40 years, the Bahamian people, and then turn around, the Bahamian people have to absorb the real property tax, have to pay off all the water bill and pay off all the light bill after we done rented for 40 odd years, and every year it went up $2 a square foot. It's just unbelievable.
And see, these acts are...
When the building got condemned, Mr. Stuart, and see, the key to this is that the building now was condemned by Ministry of Works where it was uninhabitable. They couldn't use it no more. Then the Bahamian people buy it.
See, but these are the practices of both the
Gotta be
FM and the
criminal.
PLB. That's both of their practices. And that we need to make that criminal. Under the BDM, you will go to jail for practice like that.
You go to jail?
Because you know why? Because no one man is more important than the Bahamas.
But I ain't worried about no jail. Mr. Stuart.
No, listen to me. I'll say it slowly. No one man in the Bahamas is more important than the Bahamas. Because if you put the Bahamas at risk, you put everybody else at risk.
Primetime with Independent Thinker, my special guest tonight, Mr. Cassius, the leader of the BDM. How can I help you? Hello? Primetime with Independent Thinker. Hello? Hello? You have a call on the line? Yeah, all right then. Line 1? I press it line 1. Primetime and Independent Thinking. My special guest tonight, Mr. Cassius. Stuart, how can I help you? I get them. Maybe. Good evening. I don't know. All right. Try it. Come check the phone.
Well,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
but also to add to that too, right? We pay $377 million on interest payments every year on our loan, on our debt. $377 million on our debt.
Good.
And so we have a financial crisis on our hands.
Yeah, good evening. You're live. Go ahead. Primetime. Hello? See. Hello? You have some technical difficulties. You get an engineer extraordinaire to deal with that. So you should call back, caller. I'd like to hear what you have to say. But listen to me. Again, next one. That's 4 I didn't give you so far. Again, next one. We purchased a building that was derelict for years, right? Then we turn around and give millions of dollars a contract for a contractor to refurbish this building. And if you go there right now today, you wouldn't and just get the record of the total amount of payment people paid for that building and that property and how much they paid to renovate. And look at the condition of the renovation. The only thing happened is the window sill was chopped out. If you look, all the stuff for the what they call it, asbestos thing hanging down on the ceiling. Go right there on Market Street, below there by the old city market building. Go take a look and see all the money you all spend on that. But to find out the exact money the Bahamian people has totally have spent on that particular building, and then you'll understand what the leader of the BBM is talking about. Go down on Market Street, the old city market building. Take a look at it.
This is a conversation that we've been avoiding and cutting up, but we got to deal with the matter.
Yeah.
Because we find ourselves, after 48 years as a nation, we find ourselves as a broke country. And then we have to say to our leaders, you have to give account. And so if they can't give an account, then they have failed us. You cannot take my money, waste my money, and I ask you to give an account. You tell me you don't have to give an account? You have to give an account to the affairs of the people. We are taxpayers. Every Bahamian who is listening to my voice should be concerned that their country is about to collapse. Yeah, every Bahamian should be concerned. But you see, sometimes we are so blinded that we don't care how bad we are. Right. This is my party and that's my party. Right. Listen, if this country fails, we don't care what party you're in. Everybody going down the drain.
Why one again? Primetime Independent Thinker, go ahead.
Hi, this is Cornelius McKinney with the BCP. How are you?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Mr. McKinney?
Great. I want to share with you a personal story. I worked at Royal Bank of Canada for more than 20 years.
Yes, sir.
I recall a meeting when the Vice President came by and visited Freeport. And somebody asked the question, well, what about customers who have $10,000 or less? And the Vice President of Royal Bank said, we are not interested in those persons. And so the first question is, how many Bahamians have less than $10,000 in the bank? And so basically he was saying Royal Bank of Canada is not interested in 98% of the Bahamians even having money in their bank. And so that is part of the situation that we face with the foreign banks. One of the quick ways to solve it is give Bahamians license to operate commercial banks. That's something governments have just not been willing to do for more than 50 years. But the BCP, that is in our mandate that we open up the banking sector, the commercial banking sector, to Bahamian groups and Bahamian individuals who have the funding for it. And the banks are heavily regulated, so there is no concern about people losing their money. Their money is insured also up to $100,000 per account. So the customers just need to be aware of that. So one way to solve the issue of Bahamians having limited access to banks is to allow Bahamians to own banks. One of the other things is you mentioned how the government is now allowing Bahamians to borrow up to $5 million in foreign currency. My first question is, why put a limit? Supposing you want to open a resort or a manufacturing plant and Bank of America is willing to lend you $500 million. Why should the government tell you cannot receive that loan? And so, again, these problems, what looks like problems, they're very easily solvable. And then you also talk about tax and how Bahamians are being taxed. Well, the BCP, the Bahamas Constitution Party, we released our blueprint that outlines the way in which we plan to turn the Bahamas around so that Bahamians take ownership. And we recently announced our Beyond Bay Street, and it is a 524 acres duty-free zone. So we're looking at the entire area from Nassau Street going all the way across to East Street, and then from Shirley Street all the way down to Wolf Road. There are buildings in that area that are more than 100 years old. So our plan is to make the entire area a historical district. And so a lot of those buildings will be designated as historical monuments or historical sites. And as such, they will be duty-free, VAT-free, and they will be tax-free in perpetuity. And so not only those buildings, though, the entire area we plan to make into a free trade zone. And then not only that, we will use funding from the natural resources to pump $4.2 billion into the area currently known as Grant and Baytown. That entire area, we will remodel the entire area, refurbish all of the buildings, put in parks. Bahamians can own banks in the area. We plan to have hotel and guest house, bed and breakfast, live music all day long. We have different artists coming in for 3-hour intervals. We'll put in art galleries, museums, Bahamian food, Bahamian art, Bahamian culture. And we will fund it from the Sovereign Wealth Fund, where the Bahamians who own those buildings, you will see a market appreciation in the value of those buildings, and then we will maintain it. If you've ever been to Switzerland, for example, you see buildings that are 400 or 500 years old and they look brand new. And so that is the idea, to keep the area well kept. So basically, we extend Bay Street all the way down to Wolf.
I ain't nothing to do with that topic, though.
Bahamians that live in that area, they now will have tourists coming from the cruise ships being shuttled directly into Grant and Baytown. They can sit in an outdoor restaurant owned by a Bahamian. They can taste food from Long Island, from Cat Island, from Andros. So we will have a multiplex of restaurants serving the cuisine from each of the islands, and these will be Bahamian owned. And again, we'll have those tourists shuttled directly there. And so basically, the wealth that you see on Bay Street, that wealth will extend now all the way straight across Ransom Baytown, all the way to Wolf Road. And this is just a sample. This is just one of the things that the Bahamas Constitution Party will do in the Bahamas. And that area, if you go all the way back from the early 1900s, you'll see that area has generally been
listen, Mr. McKinney, thank you so much.
Mr. McKinney,
thank you.
Mr. McKinney, what I'm gonna do, when you say you're gonna be, when you gonna be back in time?
I have the earliest I can be back in Nassau is on the 4th of June.
On the 4th of June, and that's a holiday, right? That's a holiday.
I'm not even sure. I can take a quick look.
Yeah, okay. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring you on, and then because we need to speak. We really need users this particular time to deal with refurbishing of the tourism product in this country, and we could start the conversation, continue the conversation, and reference to that. I spoke about the water tower and the monuments and the lighthouse on Paradise Island, so we could put that same plan together and offer some great solution and reference to the revitalize the over the hill area. It's a good plan that you're speaking about. But when you come in town on June 4th, the first Thursday after June 4th, I want you to come see me. Let's get the ball rolling and get that conversation started.
Okay, that would be June the 10th. Actually, I might be able to make it in on June 3rd, which is a Thursday.
Okay, if you do, you call me ahead of time, so I wouldn't book no other guests, and we'll get that conversation started. Because I have a commitment to good information and good planning for this country. Because some things need to happen, and need to happen now.
Yeah, there is a 4:30 flight on the 3rd, which is a Thursday. I believe I'll be able to catch that. And so I can
just give me a call ahead of time, and we'll plan and get it done. Like two, take one more call for me. Primetime and Independent Eagle.
Primetime.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to you and your guests. You owe me $6 a data.
Yes, sir. I'll refund you that, sir. Come pick up a $10 coupon tomorrow. Just call me and I'll tell you where it is.
Yeah, listen. There's no doubt in my mind, independent thinker, that these brilliant young persons will do well for this country. All of them. But the problem, what I have with them is, I'm just a lay person, is none of them has taken the time to study the Bahamian electorate. the Bahamian electorate will tell the BCP and the this and the that. When you go to their door, yeah, so you ain't got you, I tired of this foolishness, I tired of this foolishness. And when 6 o'clock come, like the partakers say 6 o'clock that evening, the BCP, this and that, no votes. One vote, no vote. They need to learn the Bahamian electorate. The Bahamian electorate, the lioness of the people on the planet. You understand me? I ain't lying, I telling you. You understand me?
But listen, free thinker, listen to me. You know why when you said it, I had to laugh, right? Because I remember a gentleman to stand up on Marathon Road. His name was he's had up on sign called the CCP.
CCP.
And he was the only politician in the history of St. Linden who ever talked about balancing the budget. And we as a country hasn't had a balanced budget from God knows when.
Exactly. See, what these fellas need to study, they need to learn political science, study political science. The last government that did anything was the FNM in 1992. Of course, you know how long they've been in the wilderness.
Yeah, but
against the PLP. The only other party that has gotten some little semblance of biting into that pie was the Democratic National Alliance. Why you think these brilliant men and women, all of them want to be prime minister, rather than aligning their allegiance with Ms. Komalafe to try to defeat these two giants? Huh? Why you think they doing that, man?
Yeah, but see, caller, your question, I can't answer that because I in the position, I hasn't run for nothing other than run for the mic. Listen to me. Some things need to change in this country, but when you say some things need to change in this country, and when you say what you say, listen, Amy, I never try to get on a vote. So I did political science when I was studying law, and I understand, and that's why I wouldn't run. That's the reason why I hasn't run from 2002 is because I can't just run to say I ran. I can't let history just say I ran. Because the Bahamian people is Senate people, I don't know if you need to you have to pull a Barack Obama. When Barack Obama when George W. Bush won in 2004, Barack Obama started the campaign, right? He started the campaign in 2004 after the general election. So that 4 years, he campaigned until the bell ring. And when the bell ring, he had 8 years that was only allowed for a president of the United States. And if they had it where it was open, 2 presidents that you guaranteed would get more than 8 years was Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Trust me. But I don't know if the Bahamians need to start campaigning. I think the funding is the problem. I just think the system is fighting against. Listen, a move was pulled against 3 of the most talented Bahamians yet. 3 of them, or maybe 6 or 8 of them. 3 of them, where they was put inside Bamboo Town by the 2 former law partners from the PLP, the former chairman of the PLP, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, and the former opposition leader of the PLP, the Right Honorable Barry Gladstone Christie. They put 3 talented Bahamians to run against one another, make sure only one could win. And they're the kind of actions and mindset that got this country in a position. And then you have a next call in the line, producer? On line 4? Primetime with Independent Thinker.
What you say, Primetime?
So far, so good, man. What's happening with you?
Right here, Raymond Allen Ferguson.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Cassius, what's hey?
God's good. How are you?
Boy, I wondered why I got a couple of questions here for Primetime, but just several seconds. Why is it that you don't have anybody on the ground yet, man?
You
Or you only have them in special area?
No. We have our candidates on the ground, and
I hear them on your Mason's Edition area yet.
no, we have our candidates on
Why
the
the place
ground.
closed to Mason's Edition?
We have our candidates on the ground, and I'm sure
Do something, man. Let me feel you. Let me hear you.
Absolutely, sure.
Primetime.
Yes, sir.
The building in which you were speaking of, I'm thinking of the one that was supposed to on Market Street. Is this a building on Bay Street on east of Rossum Square, just east of Rossum Square.
Which one you talking about? Which building you talking about? The building when I talk about Market Street is the one I talking about. Is the one where on the side of the special bread place,
The old food store.
the old food store, the old city market. That's what I was talking about when I said that if the Bahamian people find out how much money was spent to purchase that building and property and to renovate that building, they'll run with their head, they'll hold their head and bring up running.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one which you said we paid $70 million for rent.
No. Let me correct you. I never said that. I said it's a building that the Bahamian people is paying $750,000 a year. Let me say it clearly. $750,000 a year with a guarantee of a 10-year contract.
Okay.
Right? When the Bahamian people had paid some $685,000 or $84,000 to assist in the renovation and the reconfiguration of this particular building.
Well, which one we bought after paying so much rent for? Which one you were speaking of?
That's another building someplace on East Street Hill.
On East Street Hill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the building what Paul Adley did own, right? You
What
know
who?
that
Hold on now. I know what Paul Adley did. No, I know that. Which building that is?
the building in which the cabinet just keep their meeting.
Oh, I don't know if that's Paul. I don't know if that's the Paul Adley, but I think that's the Paul Adley building. I don't know that. I don't have the proof of that. I'm Bremen darling.
Okay.
The building I'm talking about on East Hill Street is where the old Foreign Affairs building used to be. That's the building. That's the building that the PLP family they own.
Where not exactly?
That on the hill with the Foreign Affairs building. You remember the old Foreign Affairs building now? They now renovated it. It's nice now. They did some major transformation to the building. It looked very. Huh?
The corner East Street where the post office was?
Yeah, right through there.
Oh, okay. Okay, then what you say? What is that now?
That's now the Mortgage Corporation building.
Oh, okay. I got you. And they're gonna put the central bank someplace in that area, right?
Oh, I don't know. I hear that the central bank. I hear that now. I don't have no proof to prove that the central bank will be going on the old post office spot.
Okay, not too far from there.
No, on the old post office spot where the post office, the post office is no longer there. They're
So what's gonna be where the nicest was? What used to be the hotel?
Oh, I don't know. I ain't heard that one yet. I don't know. You have any question for Mr. Stuart?
No. Well, I only wanted to ask him what happened. I hear anything of his members on the ground. You need to do something now. Just being on the radio show now and then, people ain't gonna hear you. We need to talk, man.
All right, so I can try to get him on the show as much as possible when he's available. And listen, I don't mind having you come on the show often. I'm telling you the truth. I had during the last campaign in 2016, I used to had Honorable Frankie Campbell. Mm-hmm. I had Randwood Wells. I had majority of persons who come on my show win. At least 90% of persons who sit opposite me and we chat and they explain themselves, they open themselves to the Bahamian people, they win. Mm-hmm. They're in cabinet or they're members of parliament, they win their seat. It's just that if you could find the time, come and let the people know that the BDM is prepared, has a plan, have ideas, and listen, plainly you say, today, I still love them.
And this is why every time I open my mouth, I try to use my minutes and my time as wise as possible. Yeah. And so, whilst I'm here, thank you for giving me the opportunity, but I want to use this time to really show you how we're going to be able to fix this problem, because we have some serious problems. Yes. Some of the callers said that we need to know what the electorate is. The electorate need to know where their country is going. Right. And the electorate need to know that if they don't do something, they have the power in their hand to destroy the country or help the country. Right. So the electorate been doing the same thing over and over for the last 48 years. Trying to prove Einstein, right. Two political parties that know that they got us in a mess. And so we're in this mess. We are in the cesspool. Who got us here? The AFNM and the BLP. And so are we going to continue play around with them and continue to go deeper in the cesspool, or are we going to take ourselves out and take us somewhere different?
Some places tell me that oh man, you on the radio, why you don't run for the DNA, right? I said, but I just can't run like that. I can't just run because you pay $400. As a Bahamian, I'm over 21. and I'm eligible. I said, you don't just run like that. You gotta have an opportunity to win.
Yeah.
You gotta have an opportunity to win. I ain't just running that.
See, it's if you're looking at opportunities to win, I mean, you got to be able to, as a leader, be able to show that you can be a part of the healing process of the country. It's not all about winning, you know. It's about being a part of the healing process. The country is sick, and so for you, I've never sat in the House of Assembly before, but more of my ideas have been tabled in the House of Assembly than anybody else, and so it's not also about winning. But when you look at it, Marlon, you know, you get these people in these political parties, these other parties coming up talking about their plans. You know, they sit down and listen to me and you on the show. Last time I was on the show, I talked about how we're going to open up the banking sector, how we're going to make sure that casino license office will be. Now they're talking about that's a part of their plan. You know, I mean, you know, so all these people, they
but you don't have to worry about it because you being given good plans.
Yeah, but they don't have no, they don't have the original idea to save them their lives. All of them. They sit down and listen to everything we say, all of the plans that we put out, and then they start to write their plan. The Bahamas Democratic Movement in 2007 talked about giving out land to Bahamian people. 2007 election.
It's 2021 now.
It's 2021. Now they come talking about, oh, we want to, as if it's some new idea. You know, they're talking about how we want to make sure, do this and give that. You know, you got to be able to systematically think about these ideas and how you're going to make it happen.
And put a plan together, execute.
You see, because sometimes people just look at the finished product, but they don't understand how you get to that finished product. And so when you're looking at building a country, we're talking about the crime issue in school. You cannot fix crime by putting police officers at the school. That doesn't fix crime. We need social engineering. By the time as a young man is apprehended, the crime already exists.
Yes, sir.
How do we build our young people to be able to make decisions? And in economics, they teach you, we're taught that a decision is made when the marginal cost is less than or greater to the marginal benefit. In other words, if I say to you, do not touch this phone or else there's a punishment. So if I look at the punishment and the punishment is high, that means the marginal cost is greater than the benefit. Because the marginal cost is high, I won't touch that. And so the same thing with God did. When God said to the children of Israel, these are some of the things that you don't do. If you do this, the penalty is death. In other words, what he is saying is the cost of doing that action is so high that I don't want you to do it. And so we have to make sure that in a society, the marginal cost is realized by people to know that these are decisions that we won't make. And so you only make a decision if the marginal benefit is greater than the cost. So there's no benefit in making these decisions. There's no benefit for a young man to take a knife to school and jerk somebody up because they know the cost is high. What is the cost? These young people, there's no cost for them. And so in a society, when you build a society, you got to build in place the laws. Without laws, there is no society. The first thing God gave the children of Israel is what? The law. Laws are the thing that make you as a country. And in the absence of the enforcement of the law, your society begins to collapse. And what we're seeing is our young people realize that they can break laws and get away with it. And because there's no cost associated with their actions. You're a parent. You have children. If your child take a crayon and write on the wall, and there's no cost associated with that, they will do it again and again and again until your whole wall is covered. But if there's a cost associated with it, if he writes on the wall and there's punishment, he won't do it again.
Yes, sir.
So that's the same way we build a society. We have to re-engineer our people to understand that there are costs associated with our actions. And our actions cannot just be randomly and haphazardly. And so this is the reason why even people call a talk show and spill all kind of garbage and rumors and lies and no truth. Because there's no cost associated with anything. In a society, we got to have laws. And because we have the absence of laws, we have a people just running around doing whatever they want to do. Young people are committing murders. Young people are on the streets doing all kind of wildness. When you turn on your WhatsApp, you see young people, young girls fighting from school. And so what type of society we want to build?
Yeah, may I take this call? We got a call on the line. Primetime with Independent Dingo. Go ahead, caller. Primetime with Independent Dingo. Go ahead. Line 2. Primetime with Independent Dingo. Go ahead. Hello. Primetime.
Well, let's talk.
Line 4.
Let me and you talk. Me and you get a
Hello.
lot of work.
Well, we take a break, producer. Let's take a second break, and then when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with special guest, Mr. Cassius, the leader of the BDM party, and then in reference to educational system and the crime problem. Guest in the studio, the leader of the BDM, the Bahamas Democratic Movement, Mr. Cassius Stuart. Mr. Stuart, some of the points that I did about 4 shows in reference to the educational system in this country, and I offer a plan. I have a whole written document in reference to my view and suggestions in reference to changes that need to be made in the educational system. And some of them, for instance, one was where we do all male schools, right? We do all girls school, all male schools. You don't go to a school, next one, you don't go to a school because you live in that area. You go to a school because your grade average put you in that school. I don't know if you understand what I say this now. Your school will be based on your educational level or achievement or performance, right? Education performance. Number 3, all kids should be bused to school. They don't have to be catching the bus, they have to find $1 so that a systematic system will pick up the children. So parents, because the country shuts down at 2:30, at 2 o'clock, 2:30, 2:15. Everybody go pick up their kids. So they take their lunch at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. The country is at a standstill, right? So if you put a system in place where a government system buses students, right? It changed plenty the traffic problem. People could wait much easier because they know the kids are going to be in pickup because there's a system in place, a responsible government system, busing system. What about those? What do you think about those 3 phase ideas I give you?
But we gotta understand what we want. What do we want at the end? What is our end product? We want productive. We want smart children, right? And so what we have to do is in business we have something called 6 Sigma methodology. 6 Sigma comes from the bell curve, the standard deviation bell curve, where six standard deviations to the left. That means that it's a manufacturing term that in the manufacturing of 1 million unit, there's almost 0 defect, right? So in other words, if we want 0 defect at the end of grade 12, that means 8 students. We got to look at the processes in which we have the system. In the manufacturing, we have input, throughput, and output. If the output is defective, we got to look at the throughput, which is the school system. The input is the raw material, which is the students. So there's something fundamentally wrong with the throughput, which is the system itself. How do we tweak this system to be able to produce a product that is acceptable to society? And so when you look at all of the components that lends to that input, it's the teachers, the parents, the student. Those are the 3 elements. Sometimes when you look at students and they come home with homework, the parents are not helping out. I mean, I have children and I understand that when my children come home, we got to help them with school homework. And that's a task in itself. But some of the children are not getting that help from the parents. So in the absence of that, then we have to come up with, I guess, centers, community centers that children in the less developed areas can go to get help for homework. And so we need to also pull on people who have already been through the system to lend to helping these kids with homework and so on. Because people think that homework is trivial. That is a critical part of their development. I've seen it with my own children. My children are, I mean, not to boast, but they're doing very, very well in school. My youngest daughter was the primary school student of the year. My other daughter, she in grade 8, she passed 6, 7 BJCs in grade 8, 5 A's, 1 B and a C, and she's doing more. But the point I'm trying to make is that we lend to them at home. We help them at home so that we can continue to nourish them so that when they go back to school, they have something to learn. And so we need to make sure that the system is also working. Teachers, we need to make sure that our teachers are always training. It's a never-ending training process for the development of our teachers because we need them to be at the sharpest point so that they can be able to lend to our students. The point is we need to know what we want. The end product is smart, productive children. Right now we have a national average of what? A D for the last 40 years. That is not acceptable. We cannot build a nation on a national average of a D. We cannot build a nation that way.
They call it same thing on cell phone. Primetime with Independent Nigga. Hello? Primetime with Independent Nigga. I pressed the line 4. Primetime with Independent Nigga. 326-82, line 1. Primetime with Independent Nigga.
Give her the numbers. People are asking me for the numbers.
326-8255. 326-8255. I have some difficulties with this phone. 9-1. Primetime with Independent Nigga. Go ahead, caller. Can I get through? What happened? Primetime and independent thinker.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So wonderful to hear Mr. Cassius Stuart on your radio station this evening. I just really called to just commend Mr. Stuart for the work that he's been doing in the political arena for the last, I guess, Mr. Stuart, probably it's about 10, 15 years, sir.
Yes.
And I really just want to say that this country needs to change. You know, Bahamian people need to wake up. The PLP and FNM have put us where we are. You're so correct, Mr. Stuart. And we as Bahamian people, we need to want better for ourselves. So we need to make a change in this country, and I just want you to know that you have my support, Mr. Stuart, my family support, my children's support, and at the end of the day, it's about the Bahamas and the Bahamas for Bahamians. So continue to be encouraged. We see your team working out there, feeding the hungry, feeding the poor in that program that you have going. And so just be encouraged this evening because you have our vote and so many more of our family and friends. Be encouraged, sir.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you so much.
Primetime and independent thinker. Primetime, independent thinker.
Hello, Primetime. How you doing?
All right, sir.
Wonderful. I just want to call to tell your guest, Mr. Stuart, that I've been following him for the past 10 years, and I think that he's an excellent candidate for this new election coming up. But most of all, I heard the gentleman spoke about the electorate. You know, it's the mindset, and I can say that because everyone keep talking about nobody wants to change their mind. I'm 67 years old. And I want to tell Mr. Stuart, do not give up. There is people out there, there is hope. And I support you, my friend, so I don't want no one to think that only the young people will make a change.
I need your vote, though. I need your vote in the next election. I need your vote.
Okay? And I want to just tell him to continue doing what you're doing, Mr. Stuart.
Yes.
And you got my support and my family support. And whatever you need, I will contact you and we'll work something out.
Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. Thanks, caller. Line Primetime and independent thinker. Line 4. Primetime and independent thinker. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, good evening, sir, as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I just want to say a special tribute to the guest speaker, Mr. Stuart.
Yes, sir.
He is a well-articulated individual. I listen to him, the way he scientifically breaks down the issues that we are faced with, to try to find solutions to the problems. Not just speaking on the issues, but actually trying to find solutions. But one thing I wanted to mention in regards to the busing students to and from homes, in a way we can assist persons with that. You know, we have a lot of bus drivers that are out of work. If the government would subsidize or would give them contracts, I think that would be an avenue that you would create employment in that bus or revitalize the busing industry and get them jobs in that. But I just want to tell Mr. Stuart to keep up the good work, and I will continue to follow him. I wish nothing but the best for him, and I see good things for him in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, caller. That's a good call. Yeah, Mr. Stuart. Any more calls online? Yeah, Mr. Stuart. One of the suggestions that I made and this educational blueprint that I prepared some years ago. One of them was all male schools, all girls school. What do you think about that? Would your party BDM think
Well, we
about
have
an idea like that?
I couldn't function in a class with all males.
but
I needed some females around me. I mean that's just me personally. I just want. No. Listen. I mean, for me personally, I always work better when I had a lot of females in my class, particularly in university. So
I met many females in the class when I was in school. I used to be a clown. I
function just fine, and I'm not sure. I mean, we have to look at all of the ramifications and all of the intricacies that goes along with that. I know that when I went to Atlanta, there's Mohos and Spelman, and they both function that way. I do know that when I was in university, that all of the dorms were becoming co-ed now instead of just all males and all female. They were becoming co-ed dorms, which was quite strange. But they were moving away from that segregation of males and females. So the universities were moving away from that.
Yeah, but I don't mind the university doing that because when you reach at the university level, you are a matured, focus.
You think so?
But when you got children who easy, listen,
hold on.
Just listen to this before you go any further. Plenty of things would happen in the school today happen as a result of young men trying to impress women. You don't think so? Plenty of distraction is because.
Listen, I don't think the distraction has to do with the impressing her because, I mean, part of human nature is for males to impress women. I mean, when you look at the animal kingdom, the birds, that's how the whole mating process begins, the impression. So if you try to take that away, you take us from being human, being alive. That's a part of, but that's a part of that's a part of being alive as a human being. And you know, one of the if you break us down to the lowest common denominator, it's all about procreation. But of course, that's a part of the process. And so for you to try to segregate that, I'm not sure you will be doing an injustice to.
So I mean, what is the benefit keeping them together? Maybe losing like this. I mean, this country is falling apart under the educational system.
But you cannot say that because they're together, that's the reason why they're failing.
That's one of the problems.
That's not the problem.
I'm saying it is a problem. I'm saying it's one of the factors of the problem.
One of the issues is that we have to be able to still discipline our people. Our people are not disciplined. And so you cannot expect our children to perform when we're not insisting on discipline in our schools. I grew up, I was in the same system. And I mean, I have a master's degree. I graduated 3.95 at a master's degree level. So don't tell me that the system, because males and females are together, I think that competition is healthy. The mixing of the gender, that's healthy for the natural development of human being. And so when you try to segregate that, then you will then create other problems like homo and so on and so on. But you see,
I mean, my view,
But that's your view.
Working, you know, it's working in some other Caribbean countries, you know.
See, but I mean, you can go to all male and all females, but that is not the problem.
I'm not saying it's the problem. I'm saying there are many factors of the problem in the education system, of the social promotion system, education system in this country.
See,
that's one of them.
Here's what we need. We are in a dispensation of technology right now, right? And we still have not evolved to the place where technology is used to be able to transmit information to our children. In other words, we are not using the technology that they have in their hands every day to educate them. They still have to carry big books to school when we can have all our books on our iPads and so on and so on. So we could use the technology to educate them. I told you on the show that the Japanese government has a very unique program. That what they do is they email portions of book to all their students as they go home. So as they ride in the train or books, so an average Japanese child within 1 year would have read 7 to 10 books because the school system integrates sending them texts of different chapters to the book. So they read in books. And so you have to use the technology to educate the children. Right now is that the tool that they have in their hand is just for junk. Facebook for junk and porn and this and that and all the garbage. And so seriously. So we have to use these things. See, it can either be a blessing or it could be a curse.
Right.
And we have to determine whether it's a blessing or a curse. And so the educational system now have to integrate. And I see neighbors sending me texts every day. So now they're now using it for the weather report. But what if the educational system is sending out portions of Shakespeare and different literature to the students in school so that they can read? And so reading becomes a critical part of their development. Yeah. And so right now we have most Bahamians don't read. I've written a book. And I tell you, after you pass selling 300 people, it's difficult to sell an additional book because most people don't read. And so we have to create a society that is literary, that reads, that loves to read, that wants to read. And then once you learn to read, then you read to learn. Right. You see? And so we have to create a society that is interested in learning. And so we don't have that. And so we have to what we have done though is that we've essentially made learning, we dumbed it down as if it's not an attractive thing. We have to let these children know that, listen, if you are to be successful, if you are to get to the top, if you are to go to experience the Bahamian dream, these are the steps you must take. And a part of that is making sure that you maximize our educational system. And so we have to also make sure that people like me and you who have master's degree, we could go into the school and help the children who need to get retrained. Now, listen to me. Every year we graduate with about 6,000 students. So between now and probably 10 years ago, we have hundreds of students in our school that may not have done what they needed to do when they was in school. Right. So between the hours of 3:30 and 9, we need to reopen up our school because there's a lot of children who want to get a second chance, and we have to give them that second chance so that they could go back to school to get their GED, to get their SAT, to get their graduating certificate, so that if they want to go on to further their education in university, they have that. But you don't have to pull on the educational system per se. We can have volunteers like persons who have already have their masters, retired teachers to come in to help these kids so that they can be on the footing to be able to fight and be able to survive in the world. Without education, you cannot survive. There are people who slip through the cracks and survive. There are some.
Yeah.
But by and none, we need people in our society to be educated. And we cannot use education or have people look at education as something to be dumbed down. It is critical to the success of the Bahamas.
You need to change the system, the curriculums and all. I never buy second frog yet since I leave school. Primetime in the Benedigo.
You're live, my brother, you're live.
You're live. Go ahead, Google Mason.
Hey, listen, Mr. Cassius, Stuart, how you doing?
God is good.
Can I call you the future prime minister or what?
Well, let's pray, and let's pray that the Lord's will be done.
The Lord's will be done. Okay.
The Lord's will be done. No man can receive nothing unless it was given from the Father.
All right.
Always remember that.
Right.
No man can receive nothing unless it was given from the Father.
What do you mean you can argue that point? But go ahead, Google Mason.
Hey, listen, who's your deputy? You got a deputy?
Yes, sir. We have a full slate. Go on our website, mybdm.org. You will see all
mybdm.org.
our whole executive committee, from our leader to our treasurer to our deputy to our chairman to all of our committee officers, our governing councillors. So we have a full, probably about 40, 50 people on our executive team.
Good. Let me ask you, what is your plan to get money to fund this government aspiration that you have? Right? You talk about natural resources, this and that. What you going to do? How you going to extract them? What you going to do? Where you going to get the money from?
I don't understand the question.
Where is the money coming from to fund your government?
Well, right now, let me explain something to you, sir. Right now, this government has no money. Like I said, I opened the show and thinking that the next government of the Bahamas will have the hardest task ever. Because hold on, let me finish. Because right now,
hold on.
Because our country is really experiencing an economic collapse. 3 years before COVID-19, we had $1.9 billion in the pension fund. That has been depleted. All right. We don't have any money in the treasury. Right now we got to borrow $900 million come June just to survive. And so in order for us to be able to survive, we got to be creative. So the next government got to be creative to generate revenue. And how do we generate revenue? I get to your point, caller. Hold on. I get to your point. In order for us to get revenue, we got to be creative. One of the ways that we can do is we can position Bahamian businesses throughout the region, and when those companies generate profits, those profits are brought back into the country and taxed. Another thing that we can talk about, we talk about natural resources. Natural resources is basically a new form of revenues that we're all talking about, and we've been talking about this for a year now. And so when you're looking at our sand, our salt, when you're looking at all of the oil, we have in place something called the CBI. I told you about that last time, yes. The Caribbean Basin Initiative, that allows for Bahamian businesses to access the U.S. market duty-free. We have the Lomé Convention that allows for Bahamian businesses to access the European Union, the Caribbean, and Pacific states duty-free. And so we have access now to be able to get access to capital. In addition to that, now, I'm not going to give them credit, but anyway, when we're looking at e-commerce, the e-commerce market is $6 trillion, right? If we open up the gateway, and Central Bank would now open up the gateway to allow for Bahamians to be able to bring monies into the country without all the regulation, then we could now see money coming into the country, and then we could have money to play with. Right now, I sell books on Amazon, right? Hold on. I sell books on Amazon.
Hold on.
I sell books on Amazon. And every time I sell books, my money cannot come into the Bahamas. I cannot get my money in the Bahamas. So if I sell $1 million worth of books, that money cannot come into the Bahamas. So because we have a regulation, there's something called ACH, Automatic Clearinghouse. I could take money from my Amazon account right now, from my bank account, and buy anything of Amazon. But all the money I sell for my books cannot come back to the Bahamas.
So can you go to if you have an account as a Bahamian in America, can you go there? Can your money go to your account?
Yes, but it's still
you draw it off.
But it still defeats the purpose.
Okay.
The purpose is bringing the money to the Bahamas.
But you could bring it to the Bahamas when you go to the United States, you draw the money off. You can't bring it back.
How you can get it back? You put it in your pocket. How you bring $50,000, $500,000? How you bring it back? You understand? You have to wire that. But what I'm saying is, if we had what we call automatic clearinghouse, you can transfer money from your bank for Amazon bank account directly into your Bahamian bank account. You know the amount of money that you're exposed to now. So now you're selling your services, your shows online, and somebody in Russia wants to pay $5 to listen to your show. That money goes directly into your bank account in Scotiabank, Royal Bank. But we don't have that process. And so right now we have closed the gate and we have closed the valve for revenue generation for Bahamians.
So that is that something new? What you're talking about that this blockage from money coming from
That's been time immemorial.
time immemorial.
And
So
so
something that was being arcade being done and no one never changed.
And so what we need is we need to be able to allow for automatic payments, automatic ACH payments. That means anything transfers from bank to bank. So if you, whatever website, whatever internet, e-commerce product you're selling, the money comes directly into your bank account in the Bahamas. Once the money is in your account, then the money is in the economy.
No, you're right.
You understand? If there's no money in your account, there's no money in the economy. Listen to me. The central bank governor said that before COVID-19, 90% of all Bahamians only have less than 90 days worth of money in their account for an emergency. That's less than $300. 90%. 90% of every Bahamian got less than $300 in it.
Yeah, but some things that need to change.
And so, with being that said, how do you create wealth? How do you create an economy? You create an economy by allowing for revenues to flow. And so, if you open up the gates, allow for the revenues to come in for the flow of capital, then we could say now, when I have $50,000, then I could go to the economy and buy this and spend this, and the economy is moving. How do you stimulate the sluggish economy? By creating jobs and services. When people are working, they have money to spend. If you ain't got no money, you ain't got no money to spend. So the country now dries up. And so for us, we want to open up the gateways so that we can have the flow of revenues coming in. So whether it's through the global e-commerce market, now we're one of the only countries in the world that has this manual, the blockage, right?
From time immemorial.
The same CIBC, the same Scotiabank allows for ACH payment in Canada, but they don't allow for it in the Bahamas.
Because policy
central bank policies.
Policy.
You see? And so that stops me now from getting access to that $6 trillion market. I could be on Rumkey with a website selling pictures of my shells that I found on the beach for 99 cents and make $100,000 a day. But we can't do that. You understand?
I understand what you're saying.
And so here it is now. You're talking about how do we generate and stimulate an economy? By putting money in people's pocket. But how do you put money in people's pocket when you get all the gateway closed?
Yeah, but the government seems to start to begin to make efforts done.
But you can't begin to make. You gotta move. You gotta move it. You gotta move it because we all broke.
I have a call at 9:02 now. Primetime with Independent Thinker. Go ahead, caller. Hello. Primetime with Independent Thinker.
But Independent Thinker.
Hello.
Listen to me.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. You're live. Yeah, go ahead. You're live.
I want to know where his office is and the phone number there.
Do you know where your office is and the phone number?
What the number is again? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my team to send me the number, and I will definitely give it to you over the phone.
He will give it to you before the show. Just tune in. I'll make sure he repeat it on the show. Yeah, what I call it online too.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. She sounds like she enjoyed the conversation that you the information that you disseminated.
But what I also want to discuss before we go is that while we talk about economics of our society and we know that we're failing economically, we have some other problems that we cannot downplay. Our country is physically sick. I had a conversation today with the Diabetes Association. They said they have 155,000 registered people with diabetes. That's 40% of the country with diabetes. You understand what that means? And that is not the number one killer of Bahamians. The number one killer of Bahamians is hypertension. So if you're 40% of the country is registered with diabetes, and the number one killer is hypertension, well, how many people get hypertension? Yeah. Then when you look at cancer, 2 months ago, my father died from cancer. 2 weeks later, 4 of my friends' fathers died from cancer. You tell me, how can we build a country we worry about money when everybody's sick and dying? And so we got to build a healthy country. We got to make sure that everything we bring into this country, what we eat, is properly inspected. We cannot bring the garbage into this country the way we've been doing it.
Yeah, I see. I remember some time ago when I used to work for Moscow, Bahamas Marine, before I got on my own in 2000. They had some chicken, what I'd say, this is 1999, 1998. They had some chicken which said export only. So I said, I allow that here. I would allow things in the country in 2000
Listen.
that export only. So exporting only means that they don't allow it to be used in their own country.
But they sell it to us, and so we allow.
Do we have a system in this country, like a governmental system?
We don't. We will have
watch.
Under the BDM, we want to make sure that everything coming into this country is inspected. You cannot.
You can't inspect everything. It's just that you have a system in place.
Yeah, well, of course, you know, you have random check. But we need to make sure that those chicken that are coming in are not infested with GMO or any pesticides or whatever they inject in them. The meat, the food, because what's happening is something is annihilating the country. I can tell you slowly. We have 380,000 people in this country. 155,000 of them got diabetes. That don't make you scared? I mean, is that not a wake-up call for us? Everybody talking about, oh, money, money, money. Everybody dying? You talking about money? We got to fix the country. The country got to be healthy. Renal failure on the rise. Young people, kidney failure. Young people dying from cancer. How many women in the Bahamas get breast cancer, colon cancer? Then we get prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, wiping us out as a nation. If we continue along this trend, in 20 years, we won't have a nation. We won't have no money to talk about. We won't have no natural resources to be able to enjoy. So while we focusing on the material things, we got to say, listen, you know, what kind of natural resources we can enjoy if all is dead? You think about it. The whole nation, the number one killer is hypertension, cancer, diabetes. 155,000 registered people with diabetes.
326, we have 5 more minutes left. Remainder of the show, 326-8255. That's 326-8255, 322-5683, 322-5683. Make sure you get that number.
Yeah, 427
427-2899.
2899.
427-2899.
Or 828-4902.
828-4902.
4902. Yes.
So that caller who called in reference to Mr. Stuart, we supposed to talk about some reports that was found in the Tribune that the government was told that make land registry a priority. We have to do another show for that because I did some research on this land problem, the crown land problem in this country. I was preparing a show for the last 3 months in reference, but I did a previous show before that, and persons are saying that plenty of people are having so much problem with trying to get good and clean title for their land.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to give you some information that I found in my research. There's a LUPAC project, LUPAC, L-U-P-A-C, project that was started under the former Prime Minister, Hubert Alexander Ingram, before the 2012 election. $2 million was borrowed from the IDB and $3 million was borrowed from Royal Bank of Canada. It's a $5 million project. The project was designed that the same title you get for your car, you will be granted. Everyone who has a piece of land will be granted that same certificate of title, designed similar, for your land. When you sell your land, all you have to do is sign, a witness sign, and you hand it to the purchaser. The vendor hand it to the purchaser. The PLB went in 2012, and they stopped it. Almost completed, you know. Why would a government stop a very important venture that costing the people, not even the cost, $5 million costing the people, but a land registry is very important. And the smallest Turks and Caicos, they have a land registry. In the Bahamas, we don't have one. And you have plenty, women especially, who are being taken advantage of, purchasing land and come to find out. Even through the banks.
Yeah.
Even through the banks in this country, persons are finding that the land they purchased and paying a mortgage on or a loan on was not good title.
Yeah.
From the lawyers that the bank recommended.
Yeah.
Right? Why would a political organization like the PLP stop a process like that when that particular process will help the ordinary day woman in this country. Why would they stop that?
Well, I don't know why the PLP would stop it. I do know that both the PLP and the FNM has been a part of this land grab for the last 48 years. I have in my possession the document of every criminal land taken from the Bahamas from 1950 to now. And so when you see all of the theft of the land, thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres, how do you take Hog Island, which is Paradise Island, for £10 and 30 shillings? How do you sell the entire Carmichael Road for $5? You understand? And so when you're talking about the theft of land, you know, all the names are there, all their names are there. I have them, all their names are there. And so it ain't just the PLP, it's the FNM too, and the UBP. The UBP was the biggest one. They took, I mean, those were...
The issue isn't with even the land, the issue is why they stopped the process.
Well, hold on.
That's what I was asking.
No, I know, but I can tell you why they stopped the process. Because, of course, when you look at all of the land that was taken and stolen, you know, when you look at the entire Eleuthera, when you have probably 30,000 acres were taken for $1,000, now you're telling the average Bahamian that they can't get no land. If you want land, it's 100,000 and so on. And then the land, some tangle up in so many different hands, and you nobody know who own it. And so we need to be able to clean up this country. Land is one of the things we need to clean up. We need a land registry. Yeah, you are right, we need that. But what we need to do is we need to look at all of the people who stole our land, who stole land from the treasury. I mean, what they did was they put it in company names. I can send it to you. They put it in the name of companies, and they took hundreds of thousands of acres of land. And so
be flat all the time.
Well, be flat all the time. But guess what? Now they're telling the average Bahamian, how do you start on the economic journey when you ain't got nothing? And they took everything.
Well, we need to have a great conversation. That's on land. Because plenty places in this country, they can tell you of a bad experience. We flat out time winding down right now. We had a bad experience with land purchase in this country, trying to get a piece of the rock. So, anyway, we gotta have a show. I would like to have a show with you.
I can send it to you right now. And
problems in this country.
We can have 10 shows on how many land they stole. I mean, how you could take the whole of Paradise Island for £10 and 30 shillings? Come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean, something ain't right to that.
Yeah, we flat on time, producer. Listen, we just got a chance to reach this topic of this part of the show, but we never get a chance speaking on education and to take up because education is so important to the well-being of this country and the future of this country. We end up spending so much time on that particular topic. But this land thing, I end up coming across a case, Mr. Stuart, called the McTaggart similar case, where the Privy Council, the judges, I thought they spoke so harshly against the land sharks, the government, and the persons who continuously contributors take land from people.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got it in your WhatsApp now.
Yes, sir.
The land theft.
Yes, and when you read the ruling from the Privy Council and the McTaggart similar case in Cat Island, it clearly shows that if Bahamians don't watch out, you will be surrounded and all the land around you gone from persons who you never know because they put these false companies in the Isles of Man and inside Barbuda and Antigua, all these different far Cayman Islands stuff. They put these land registry under these false company or IBCs and stuff like that. And you never know where these land, who holding the land, and how isn't the government using the real estate laws, tax laws, to benefit from the persons who have all these land.
And they ain't paying no real property tax. They ain't paying no real property tax on that. We gotta make sure that they pay real property tax on all them land they got. And so we can't have a broke country when all this thousands of acres of land they stole and still don't pay no real property tax on it.
3.25 million acres are still available. We're gonna end the show. Listen, we need to talk about this. I guarantee, because plenty of persons keep complaining to me. I can give you stories of persons who have problems with their land.
Yes.
So whenever I get a chance, free time again, we can make plan the next show.
Absolutely.
Please, man.
Absolutely.
I really got I prepare a whole document on it.
Yes.
I just need someone who have a good understanding of it, who has a political organization who could offer a plan to ease some of the problems and pressures and
absolutely,
especially women in this country.
Thank you so much for being
here. He will prevail when good men stand by idly and does nothing. Good night, Mama.